All right, we are back now with our political reporter, Greg Groogan, who spent a lot of time, of course, with Mayor Turner. Just a tough loss for the city. I'm sure you've seen so many people speaking about it on social media this morning.
I don't think it's an understatement to say that Sylvester Turner was the most dominant political figure in the city of Houston and for much of Harris County for a quarter century. I started covering him in the early 90s when he was a state representative and a powerful orator and advocate for social justice in the Texas House. I can still remember his speeches there. He rose to prominence in the House, many positions of responsibility, including a seat on the powerful Legislative Budget Board, which basically decided where the dollars in Texas went. It was kind of a star chamber of 4 or 5 state lawmakers from both chambers. His goal was always to lead the city that he loved with all his heart. Much has been said about how he came from very, very humble roots and built a career based upon merit. He was the valedictorian of his high school. He went to Harvard, but he always wanted to be involved in politics. It will be a tremendous loss for literally 2 million people in this city, all of whom have some very strong memory of Sylvester Turner, the leader.
Yeah, you obviously covering him from quite some time, from obviously the Texas House to obviously City Hall to now in D.C. What do you remember the most about his lifetime of service and him being such a juggernaut here in the city and at this point obviously in D.C. too?
Well, I think I'd be remiss not to talk about how many people he mentored over that time, how many people who he directly impacted their path to service, their path to political participation. In terms of his accomplishment, I think you have to look at a reform of a disastrous pension system. It was a difficult task. It caused a great deal of hard feeling with one of the bargaining groups, which was the firefighters, and led to what turned out to be an 8 or 10 year battle. But it is seen as his most important accomplishment in that he got the pension system on a much more solid financial footing so that we as a city could move forward, because something had to be done.
Were there any memories that stood out to you during your time covering him that you can recall?
Oh, well, I mean, I was honored at the time when Sylvester Turner, then state representative Sylvester Turner, decided to run for mayor, and they had to choose a reporter to sit down with him and make that announcement. And I was asked to do it. I remember that day. It was a night, actually, and it was a moment where I can remember all of the good he wanted to do, all of the good he wanted to do for the city, and so I will carry that with me.
Yeah. He was only a few months into his term serving as congressman for the 18th Congressional District. And I mean, even if you look back at the names in the 18th Congressional District, Barbara Jordan, Craig Washington, Sheila Jackson Lee, and now Sylvester Turner, all of these people literally devoted their lives to service.
Absolutely. And I think that as a student of history, Sylvester Turner recognized that to hold that seat would be to stand with giants. And while we know he had some health challenges, I am sure he, like all of us, would assume we will overcome those challenges and move on to do good things for the people that he represented for much of his life.
Yeah. What do you think will come to mind when people think about the legacy that he leaves behind?
I think love of Houston. No one would ever question that he loved the city of Houston. and the people in it and wanted the best for them. Now, there may have been those who differed when it came down to the paths to that success and that prosperity, but no one ever questioned Sylvester's love of the city of Houston. And there will be many, many, many people who will miss having him on this earth.
Yeah, it's synonymous of who he is when you look at, he was literally just there at the president's address last night. He was just here in Houston over the weekend at the rodeo parade. I'm hearing from people that he was just at church on Sunday. So he worked literally into the very end, to the last few hours at this point.
I think when he ran for Congress, decided to step in and be that, I hesitate to use the word caretaker, that bridge to the next generation for the 18th district. It was absolutely sincere. He believed with his connections in Austin, his understanding of the system, his ability to parlay relationships into positive developments, acquisitions for the district, his ability to articulate what the challenges were in the district would be of value. And I think Sylvester Turner wanted to be of value, continued to be of value to the city and the people that he cared about.
Yeah, you know just as I know that his health and his age was a concern when he was obviously running for this role. But he specifically said he wanted to be a bridge, just as you said there. And I believe he said he only wanted to serve one term to make sure he built that bridge to whoever then would be the person who took over that role. So obviously, that was his goal this entire time, to at least be that, to build that bridge to whoever would come after him.
Yeah, you know, and over the years I've had private conversations with even his political opponents, and they admired, you know, his tenacity and his ability to connect with communities. They admired his understanding of the system and how to get as much as possible out of it for the people, and that representation matters. And so he also advocated for people, for minorities who had been underrepresented in the past. And he talked about his ability to provide a role model for those who would come after him and potentially lead the city of Houston. And so I think that was extremely important to him. And so when you look back at this life, it was absolutely an extraordinary one.
Yeah, and I know we talked, you know, about his health scare and how he was able to overcome that. When was the last time you saw him, and how did he seem to you?
I have to be honest with you. It was at a political event, and I remember leaning over to a colleague and saying, the mayor is frail. This cancer fight has taken a toll. I don't know anything about any of the details, but you know, clearly as someone who had known him for and covered him for a quarter century here in Houston, you could tell that this was a battle underway.
Yeah.
And so we all had hoped, I think it's fair to say we had all had hoped that his physical recovery would continue, his service would continue, but the good Lord had a different plan.
Yeah. Greg, we appreciate you, sir.
All right, Greg, thank you.
And your longevity of reporting, obviously covering the mayor in every stage of his political career right here in Texas.
You bet.